Oxford fans, is it too early to start saying Rowett out? Now, obviously, I'm clearly joking with that comment, but I just wanted to put it at the start of the video, and I'm also going to put it on the title of the video with me doing a very over-the-top dramatic face in the thumbnail. I just want to see if I get any clickbaity engagement from people who comment without even watching the video. It does happen. It happens quite a lot. Hey, I've got to create my own entertainment because this game wasn't that entertaining. Sorry for the long intro, and hello everybody and welcome back to OUFC Fan View, because it's time for another Oxford United review. And today, the U's were making the long road north to Lancashire. They were away at Burnley. So Gary Rowett was looking for a 10th game unbeaten in the league at the start of his Oxford United managerial career. But this was undoubtedly the toughest test to date. Because not only are this Burnley side third in the league going into this game, they give you absolutely nothing. Seriously, you're lucky to get a cup of tea and a biscuit at halftime at Burnley. It is a fortress, and unfortunately, that is all Oxford got. Well, I don't actually know if they got a cup of tea and a biscuit. I don't know, let me know. But they came away with no points, and they came away with a first defeat under Gary Rowett. Probably not surprising at this scoreline because Burnley are so watertight, and they did only need that one goal to beat Oxford. It finished Burnley 1, Oxford United 0. So congratulations to Burnley, congratulations to Burnley fans if you're watching this. I don't think anyone could really question that you deserve to win the game, but we'll go over everything. I'll go over the team news, I'll go over the key points in the match, and then I'll give my final thoughts for both sides at the end of the video. If you do just want to jump to the end and see the final thoughts, that's absolutely fine. Please feel free to do so. Just use those timestamps down below. But I'd always recommend that you watch the full video. But either way, please hit that like button because that does help me out a heck of a lot. And if you do like the content, then consider subscribing. So let's have a look at this team news then, starting with Oxford United. And usually Gary Rowett's pretty dependable with his team news, so I was caught a little bit off guard with him making 4 changes from that side that drew 1-1 with Bristol City. Coming into the side was Sam Long, Tyler Goodrum, Tom Bradshaw, and it was a first start for Alex Matos as well. Kioso, Rodriguez, Dembele and Harris are the players removed from the 11, and there was no place in the squad once again for Stan Mills. Usually this season when Sam Long has been brought into the side, it's because we're expecting a very physical battle. But also, let's not forget that Longy does also know where the goal is, and lately our back four are probably more likely to score than our attackers. Moving on to the home side then with Burnley, and Scott Parker's Clarets started today in 3rd place in the table, but a win would take them back into 2nd, and that's exactly what they got. Sunderland did draw level with Burnley after their win last night, so Burnley would have been absolutely eyeing this one as a golden opportunity to get back to winning ways and to also score some goals. Parker made 2 changes from their latest 0-0 draw, which they had away at Portsmouth. Bashir Humphreys comes in for Lucas Perez at left back, and Hannibal replaces Sarmiento. Deadline day loan signing Marcus Edwards is on the bench, but really the talking point for Burnley this season is their defence, which has been absolutely phenomenal. They've only conceded 9 goals so far this season, and that remained the same after tonight. And it is 8 clean sheets, 9 clean sheets in a row now for goalkeeper James Trafford. That is quite simply staggering numbers. But Oxford did manage to hold Burnley to a 0-0 draw at the Kassam Stadium in September, and it's an Oxford side that certainly are confident and hopeful of getting something today. But I'll tell you what, if you offered me 0-0, I'd have absolutely snapped your hand off and taken it. So let's move on to the game then. It was actually a good start for Oxford for the first 5 minutes or so. They did start very brightly. An early chance actually as well. Blaheta putting a cross into the area. It was a flicked header by Bradshaw at the near post, and I thought for a moment it was going to nestle in the far corner, but it went wide. But after that initial burst of 5 minutes, Burnley took over and they had a plethora of chances. How they didn't score in this period, I do not know. But let's talk through those Burnley chances. First of all, after 6 minutes, it was from a corner. They pulled the ball back to the edge of the box and Anthony scuffed his shot, but it fell to Fleming in sort of the middle of the goal when he was only about 7 yards out. He turned, hit the shot, hit it over the bar. Really good chance, but it felt eerily familiar for Oxford, who just seemed to fall asleep and not pick up someone on the edge of the box. That's how they conceded their goal against Bristol City at the weekend. Just 5 minutes later, 11 minutes, another massive chance for the Clarets. Anthony was causing Greg Lee lots of problems already down the Burnley right, the Oxford left. He found Fleming in the middle of the area. It was a very nice flick from Fleming to guide it on to Foster, who had quite a simple chance coming in on that left-hand side, the Oxford right, and somehow he put that chance wide, and just the chances just kept coming, and I just kept thinking to myself, how are we not losing this game? Because 2 more chances for Burnley on 14 minutes. Firstly, Jamie Cumming doesn't make many mistakes, but he was pissing around with the ball at the back, got intercepted, gifted it to Fleming on the edge of the box, and once again you're just expecting the net to ripple, but once again Burnley spurned the chance as Cumming gets back to redeem his error and push it wide from a corner. But from that corner, Oxford cleared the first ball, but it was worked back into the area, and it was another chance for Foster. He beats Cumming this time, but Helik is there, and he's able to turn it over the bar. At this point, all I was thinking is, it's going to be a long night. But the game did settle down a little bit after that, and probably about the 20-minute mark, you saw Burnley still dominate the majority of the ball like they did for the majority of the game, but they just weren't cutting open Oxford at will like they were doing in those open first 15 minutes. And Oxford had a rare chance, 25 minutes. Bradshaw chested the ball down to Matos, who was in space in midfield. He found Plaheta on the Oxford right-hand side. Shemi opted to cut inside, took a shot from 25 yards out. But we've seen a lot of this recently from Shemi. Just goes high and wide. It was a decent strike, but went over the bar. But then just a couple of minutes later, it was another golden chance spurned by Burnley. It did look like a foul on Volks in midfield, but the ref played play on, and the ball went over to the right-hand side, and Foster got the better of Long and was able to race into the penalty area. His cross was deflected into the path of Laurent, who was sort of free, thinking all he had to do was just sort of place the ball into the goal, but he slipped as he made contact with it, and it flew over the bar. Another relatively simple chance going begging, and you're thinking Oxford are very much living a charmed life. But Burnley did get that goal. They got that decisive goal on 33 minutes. Burnley probing with some possession for quite a while. Oxford looked quite comfortable in their shape, but Burnley got the ball out to the left, and it was Cullen who made a very intelligent run into the penalty area. It was an intricate ball by Foster into the area to find him. Cullen hit a low shot. Helik got a block on it, but unfortunately that block from Helik guided the ball into the back of the net via the post. Nothing Cumming could do about it, but unlucky from the big centre-back as well. Burnley didn't score themselves. Oxford had to do it for them, but either way, they won't care. They're in the lead. The final chance of the first half went for Oxford, and it was a big chance to equalise just after they'd gone behind. 36 minutes on the clock. Not surprising, really. It's for the defenders, and it's from a set piece. It's recycled corner, and Plaheta just played a high looping ball back into the area where Helik was at the back post. He headed it back across goal to Greg Lee, who was in the middle of the goal about 10 yards out, and it's usually the sort of chance that Lee tucks away, but this time he put it wide. It was Oxford's best chance of the game. And that was the final chance, really, of the first half, and we went in 1-0 to Burnley at half-time, and nobody could really argue that the Clarets deserved the lead, but at 1-0, Oxford are still very much in this game. There is a goal for class. It's very evident between the two sides, and Burnley are looking dangerous when they can get their wide men into play and get the ball forward to them quickly. Foster and Anthony are causing Long and Lee problems, and Oxford are having to battle very hard. But I do think Alex Matos is looking pretty good in midfield. It's an impressive debut or start for him in an Oxford shirt, and Plaheta always looks like a bright spark for Oxford on the counter-attack, although he is still incredibly erratic. But hopefully Oxford can just keep plugging away, keep this tight, and you never know, maybe we can nick something late on. Bit of a surprise substitution at half-time with Will Volks coming off for Sariki Dembele. Didn't see that one coming. It meant Matos went back into a holding role alongside Brannigan. And really, not much happened in this second half at all. Chances were at a premium, and we got to about the hour mark, and nothing had really happened in the game. Oxford weren't too disappointed by this, though, as Burnley weren't exactly pushing to get that second goal to kill the game off. And you did sense that their fans were starting to get a little bit annoyed with the backwards and sideways passing, and they were just getting a little bit impatient. And you were sort of hoping maybe Oxford can keep this tight and, as I said, nick something late on in the game. But it's not as if Oxford were exactly beating down the door to try and get this equaliser. Maybe it was Mark Harris's night as he replaced Tom Bradshaw on the hour mark. But as the game went on, it was Burnley who had the better chances to kill this game off. Oxford really struggled to get a shot a goal away at all in this second half. 70 minutes on the clock, and despite Burnley having all the possession, to that point they hadn't really threatened. And Oxford had hope, but that hope was nearly extinguished. With an excellent counter-attack, Egan Riley started the move by intercepting the ball just outside the Burnley penalty area. He was striding through midfield. He rolled it out to Foster on the left-hand side, and Egan Riley just continued his run into the penalty area. He was found by Foster, but once he got into the box, he maybe just ran out of steam, maybe overran the chance, and he just couldn't get a good contact on the shot and ended up just rolling it across goal. It was begging for a Burnley player to tap it in, but luckily for Oxford, Greg Lee could just smuggle it behind. And then from that corner, Oxford didn't clear the ball very well, and it fell to Foster, and he forced Cumming into his first save, really, of the second half. It was straight at him. You expect Cumming to make it. He didn't let us down. More subs for Oxford: Phillips, and a rare appearance for Idris El Masouni came on for Goodrum and Plaheta. I didn't really feel like they were subs that were going to swing this game in Oxford's favour, but I was always hoping that I would be wrong. But it was Burnley who just continued to have chances as this game went on. It just was not Foster's day in front of goal. He gathered a crossfield ball immaculately on the edge of the box, on the edge of the area. His low shot forced Cumming into a save. It was a good diving save by Jamie Cumming to palm it behind for a corner. A minute later, Idris El Masouni sold Cameron Brannigan up the river with a pass back to him, and it meant Sarmiento got through to the edge of the box. He tried his chances with a shot from the edge of the area. Once again, Cumming stood up to it and made the save. 85 minutes on the clock, and like the last two previous games, Ollie Romani is Oxford's final roll of the dice. He replaced Sam Long, so it meant a change of shape for Oxford United. Could we have the final push? Could we have the final grandstand finish? Absolutely not. Burnley stood firm. Oxford really got nowhere near even testing James Trafford in goal. Probably the most predictable scoreline of the night. Burnley get the win. Burnley get a 1-0 win. That's all that matters for them. We'll move on to the final thoughts. And let's start with the home side in Burnley. And if there are any Burnley fans watching this, congratulations on the victory. It's not a game that anybody is going to remember at the end of the season, but those are the sort of games where you just need to find a way to win them, and you did. It wasn't pretty, it wasn't exceptional, but you know, it could well have been if you'd have took your chances at the start of the game. But once again, you struggled and stuttered in front of goal. But when you've got that back line, which never looked like it was going to be breached, you can afford to be a little bit wasteful. And as much as that backline and Trafford and the way Burnley's defensive shape is so good deserves a lot of plaudits, and seriously, that is an amazing number of clean sheets in a row. You have to be concerned about the attacking options that you've got. You have to be concerned about the clinicalness in the final third, because this is even Oxford fans saying this. Arguably, there's not going to be too many weaker sides you come up against than Oxford in this league. And you didn't bury us over the two games. You weren't able. We managed to get a 0-0, and it was a 1-0 here at Turf Moor. You weren't able to absolutely kill the game off and put us away, and that's got to leave you a little bit worried once again about how you're going to fare when you do face those bigger and better sides in the league. But you do certainly have options. There were some good deadline day signings, which I think you'll be pleased with. But I thought in this game today, I thought when you did play the ball quickly and got that out ball out to Foster or Anthony, particularly Foster, I thought he had a really good game. Just didn't have his shooting boots on, unfortunately for Burnley, fortunately for Oxford. I thought Anthony did at the start get the better of Lee, but I thought Lee kind of managed him quite well as the game went on. But Foster was the real threat for Burnley on that left-hand side, the Oxford right. He was always getting the better of Sam Long, as so it seemed. I thought Hannibal was very good, very tidy in there as well. He got a little bit frustrated. after he got his book in, he was probably subbed off at the right time. But do you have a goal scorer that's going to stick the ball in the back of the net on a regular basis? Is Fleming the man that's going to do that for you, Burnley fans? And above all else, I know you do have injuries to some key players as well, like Ramsey and Aji, Bayer, Redmond, Colioso, Josh Brownhill, so quite a lot of key players out. Are you entertained with this season? Are you happy with the style of football that Parker's presenting you week in, week out? I know that if you get people say if you get promoted it doesn't matter, but there is a little bit more to it than that, because you do go and play your money and you do want to see entertainment, and you can handle gritty workman-like digging out results, digging out clean sheets performances for a while, but when it is the norm, it does start to get a little bit dull. So I'm just wondering, I'm not criticising because your defence has been amazing, I'm just wondering what you guys think. Is it a little bit dull? And what does Parker need to do to try and give you a bit more attacking spark so you can go and have more games like you did against Plymouth and fewer of these 0-0 draws? But overall, Burnley were my pick to win the league this season, so you're still in there with a chance, Burnley fans. Don't let me down. And well done on the win today, and good luck for the rest of the season. And that brings me on to Oxford. I don't really have a lot to really say about this game. The game kind of panned out the way I thought it would, with Burnley dominating the ball, Oxford having to be quite workmanlike, opportunistic with when they had the ball. I knew we weren't going to have long spells in possession, and I knew we weren't going to create that many chances, and it was just going to be a matter of whether we could keep Burnley out. And we did, for the large part. We were a bit fortunate in the first half with some of the chances they created where they didn't take them, and then maybe a little bit unlucky with the Helik own goal. But I don't think overall you could argue that Burnley deserved to win the game. I don't think we're going to be too disappointed with that defeat. I mean, I think most of us kind of thought it was going to be a tall order to get anything out of the game. I don't think Rowett's going to be too disappointed either. I thought, once again, defensively they did well. I thought I don't like digging out Sam Long, but I don't think he really struggled up against Foster. But Foster is a quality winger at this level, and Long just had a tough game against him. But with Long, he's never going to give up, is he? He's going to keep going, keep fighting. There was actually a couple of times Long got into some good areas going forward, and so I don't want to give him too much criticism because he's been good this season. I thought Greg Lee actually got better as the game went on as well, and I thought towards the end of the game he was the one player trying to get forward to try and give a bit of inspiration in that final third. But I thought overall he defended well, and not really too many complaints from Oxford's defensive shape or anything like that. Cumming made some good saves, made a mistake. But really it's just going forward, isn't it? Well, going forward, where are we going to score goals from? Where are we going to get this attacking threat from? We just can't create chances for Harris or Bradshaw. You can be critical of Bradshaw and Harris's hold-up play and their contribution in the final third as well, but it's just difficult to see where we're going to create those chances for them. I thought Goodrum was a little bit hit and miss today. Dembele was a little bit hit and miss today when he came on, more miss than hit for me. Plaheta, just erratic. I guess he looks the bright spark. He looks the most likely that he's going to make something happen, but his decision-making in that final third is just frustrating at times. But I thought the real standout player today was Alex Matos. I thought he was superb in midfield, both when they played him in the 10 role and when they played him in that defensive midfield role as well. He's got a fantastic work rate, a great energy, and he's very quick to read the game. He was intercepting some balls, picking up second balls really well all the way through the game. Strong in the challenge as well, not afraid to take people on. A lot of pluses for Alex Matos. Starting to think he might be a sort of player where it's going to be difficult to leave him out based on that performance tonight. And we saw Vaux come off at half time. I do wonder whether you might start to see Brannigan and Matos as those two holding players. But still a mystery of what we're going to do in that final third. Again, it was never going to be a game where we were going to create a lot of chances anyway. So we'll just have to put a pin on it and see if we can get anything better in the next two games. Because the next two games are massive. And if anything, they could be classed as season-defining games. Derby away, Portsmouth at home. If Oxford win them both, you'd have to say we're virtually safe. I'm even going to say if we win both of those games, we're virtually safe. If we lose both of those games, I think we're right back in a relegation scrap. 4 points, I think that everybody will be delighted. 2, I guess there's an argument to be said that you're stopping relegation rivals from gaining points on you, so you can handle that as well. But 2 massive games. You certainly want to see Oxford put on a lot stronger performance in the final third than you have done in this one today, and I think that you probably will. Not really too surprising that it was a bit of a damp squib on the final day of the transfer window. Interested to know your thoughts on that, Oxford fans. Owen Dale and Kyle Edwards, who really wasn't really in contract with us anyway, the 2 players to move on. A little bit surprised that maybe there weren't a couple more, like, for example, Josh McEachran, Jordan Thornley, but those guys have kept in the squad, and if there is injuries, then Rowett clearly thinks that they have a part to play. But this is it. This is the side. This is the squad that's got to drag us over the line, and really that is the first defeat that we've had under Gary Rowett, and it's probably not surprising that we got it. And again, as I said, I don't think anyone's going to lose too much sleep over it, but it is a massive week now to prepare for the 2 biggest games of the season. Derby away, Portsmouth at home. This has a very Boxing Day, game after Boxing Day feel of Cardiff and Plymouth at home, feel about them. Let's hope Oxford are firing on all cylinders when it comes to this one, because no one's going to remember this 1-0 defeat at the end of the season, and we'll just move on from it. So thank you very much for watching this video. Leave your comments down below. Maybe one day I'll get back to you on those comments. I'm sorry, I've been really bad on them lately, but I do really always appreciate all the support. Thanks very much for watching. I'll be back very soon.